Hello, and welcome to our episode of Todd Talks. When Todd Talks, people listen, because if you don't, I'm going to steal. Pause for dramatic effect. The moon. Say what? That's right, I watched Despicable Me. But yes, today we are talking about a very fun and evil matchup that was one of the last Kickstarter matchups that Death Battle will do. We still got one more. I think y'all know which one it is. I remember my bet. It's going to happen later this year. It is Gru versus Megamind. Yes, Megamind, not Mastermind. I'm sorry, Death Battle Discord. I type one thing wrong. Y'all remember it. Who the heck is Mastermind? Actually, that's an X-Men villain. Illusionist. Anyway. But yes, it's the battle of the evil villains turned heroes, and it's going to be a wild one. And I'm very curious about how this is going to look, how this is going to go, and who's going to win. Because for the first three matchups, there was pretty much no question about who would win. Here's where the question comes in. All right, like my winning streak will be on the line this time for sure. All right, so let's get it going with Gru. It's like Gru. I know I'm not going to do the accent all episode. I don't think I could pull it off. So, as a young child, Gru grew up with his single mother, who lied to him, but we'll get to that a bit. And he was brilliant. Like, he wanted to be an astronaut. He wanted to be, appreciated for his genius. And then eventually he wanted to be a supervillain. And when he was young, that led to him creating all sorts of things, including a rocket to show off his astronaut dreams. He created a cheese ray. He created a freeze ray. And eventually, he became the head of his own evil organization. And that included Dr. Nefario, who was his co-genius inventor, and the minions. We'll get to that. So, over the years, Gru had amassed a large set of victories and reveling in his evilness until one day he was actually shown up by a younger aspiring supervillain named Vector. Vector. Yes, I did watch the first movie. Okay, it wasn't bad. So, after going to the Bank of Evil to try and one up his new rival, he had a plan to steal the moon. And the only way the Bank of Evil, yes, villains go to banks, society. The bank was going to fund the plan was if he stole the shrink ray, and the shrink ray that Vector had used to steal the pyramids. So he tried to do that, failed to do that, and then he saw something he didn't expect. He saw a trio of girls go into Vector's house to sell him cookies. So the light bulb went off, and Gru decided, hey, I'm going to adopt a trio of girls to sell that guy cookies so he can break in, steal the shrink ray, get the funding, steal the moon, and prove that he is the greatest supervillain of all time. What could possibly go wrong? Things! So, first off, how he actually got to adopt these children is the miracle. Like I remember that scene where the minions are like making up his resume about why he would be a good dad and whatever. It's hilariously bad, but this is like, really, they just like let him. It doesn't matter. But yes, he adopted 3 kids: Edith, Margot, and Agnes, and scaling size and ages, but they were naturally not the biggest fans of Gru upon starting out in his home, especially since his home was anything but child-worthy. Again, like, how did they just let him get these children? So at first, Gru saw them as a means to an end. Like, literally, they were the means to his end of getting the shrink ray, stealing the moon, and reasserting himself as the top dog in the supervillain world. But over time, feelings started to happen. The minions really started to bond with the girls. Gru started to bond with the girls, including at the famous carnival event where was it Agnes? One of them had wanted to win a unicorn And the game was rigged because, of course, it's a carnival game. And even Gru, supervillain, was like, "Hey, I saw that. It hit and it didn't go down." The carnival guy, "It's not my problem." Gru's response, "My turn." Pulls out the gun. I loved that scene. The scene was great. That was a great scene. Destroys the carnival game, wins the prize. It's so fluffy! I told you, it wasn't a bad movie. So Gru starts to really bond with the girls, and that actually angers Dr. Nefario, because Nefario thinks that this is going to get in the way of Gru being a supervillain. So Nefario lets the girls go back to the adoption agency. Don't ask questions. Gru enacts his plan to steal the moon, but also beelined it to the girls' ballet recital so that they can he could see them and show he still loves them. Surprise, surprise! Vector kidnaps them, demands the shrink ray and the moon, and thus the epic climactic battle happens. The moon starts to unshrink, the Nefario principle, and Gru is able to save the girls, reestablish their family, swears off villainy, creates the one big unicorn story. Yes, I do believe this is the greatest story ever. And they all lived happily ever after. Not because the movie was so good that they not only made the Minions sequels, which I'll get to, but they had to have not one, not two, but three more Despicable Me movies because of course you did. Of course you did. So the struggle that Gru would then have was not so much staying away from villainy, but staying the person he wanted to be for his girls, because he really did love them. So, for example, in the second movie, he was actually asked by the Anti-Villain League, the AVL, to join them to take down certain villains. And he refused at first, but then he accepted. He met a woman named Lucy Wilde, who would then eventually become his wife and the mother to the 3 children. And then they would have their own kid named Gru Jr., because of course they did, and of course they named him that. And then in the third movie, he met his twin brother, Drew, who was actually trying to be a villain and wanted Gru to be a villain with him, especially after he lost his AVL job through no fault of his own. And then in the fourth movie, he had to actually go into witness protection because of a villain he caught breaking out of jail, threatening the family, and again, he had to try to fake being a villain while still being a good guy, while also protecting his girls and his wife and his child, and a whole bunch of wacky adventures happened. It's crazy, but the point is that throughout all of this, Gru was able to be the man that he was truly destined to be. He was not just a hero, that's superfluous in many ways. He wanted to be a father. He wanted to be the father to these now 4 kids and make them proud. And even though there were struggles along the way, he did so. And because of that, he's still doing his thing, saving the world and keeping the world safe for his daughters and son. So, huzzah. Now, as for his gear, they covered most of it in the in the preview. There's the freeze gun, there's the cheese ray, there's sticky fingers, there's an electric taser, like a lipstick taser basically. There's various vehicles. I talked about the carnival blaster, which destroyed the whole thing. He's got lots of those. He's got the fart gun. I said fart gun, not fart gun. It's amazing how many of these lines I still remember. Only watched it once. And not even recently. Like, this is not one where I watched it for the preview. No, I did not. This is a long time ago. But he's got numerous vehicles, including one from his father, that he got one in Despicable Me 3 while teaming with Drew, which has all sorts of incredible abilities. Not to mention his own physical feats. He knocked a KO'd a shark with a backhand. He dodged missiles on his own. He has withstood, being KO'd and recovering pretty quickly, handling getting shot by various weapons. He had a dance battle with, Blatt, I believe his name was, and so on and so forth. So Gru's done a lot over numerous years of villainy, from little childhood to adulthood, and then being a hero. But it all really comes down to the minions now, doesn't it? Yes, these little indestructible little freaks of nature. Remember in Ballot Banter when everyone's like, hey, let's have the minions versus the rabbits? No! Don't do that, please. I hope this is the only time we ever get to see the minions in Death Battle. So the minions are a literal evolution off of a unique strand of DNA, literally millions of years old. Immortal beings. They are immortal beings, okay? And their genetic predisposition, there's a nice big word for you, is that they're going to work for and follow the biggest and best villain around. So whether it was a T-Rex, Dracula, various warlords, pharaohs, Napoleon, and evil villains like what was her name? I can't remember, but the one who was in Rise of Gru, or in the first Minions movie, it doesn't matter. But they always follow their leader, once they attach themselves to them, and then inevitably they screw up and kill the leader or get them caught. And this is true in the wiki for the Minions, they have been claimed to have killed at least 45 people across their millions of years of life. Oh, people and animals, I should say. Yeah, it's a lot. And that's only the beginning of their madness, because the minions are, believe it or not, actually hyper intelligent. They don't act like it because they act like children's, But them. Game bomb! But they are able to build things. They're able to operate machinery and drive vehicles. They were even recruited at one point by the AVL to become Mega Minions. Basically, 5 of them got superpowers. I think it's actually 4. They got superpowers, and they were so powerful that they actually had to be recalled because they basically destroyed the city on their attempt to save it. Oops. So, but as of now, they are eternally loyal to Gru, and then Drew, and then back to Gru. So even though he's not a villain anymore, they're still loyal to him, and they'll do anything for the girls and for Lucy and for Gru. And they are broken. They are busted. They are wrong. They're wrong. That's what they are. Now, as for how many they are, this is actually the biggest question, because if you look at the movies, there's maybe a couple hundred. If you look at the poster for Despicable Me 2, there's like 10,000 of them. 10,000 of these freaks. Why? But yes, they will always be there to try and help Gru save the day or be his test subject. Now, to be clear, Gru actually really cares about the minions. In the first movie, we see that numerous times over, that he cares for the minions. The only thing he does not do for them is give them a raise. It's like, I feel that, guys. I feel that. But he does not give them a raise. But despite that, they will be there for him 9 times out of 10. And they haven't killed him across 6 movies. So it's like, us doing something, right? So whether it's saving the day, protecting his girls, or his young son, or the love of his life in Lucy, Gru and the minions will always be there to try to do the right thing, even if it takes a couple of bumps to get to the finish line. So, yeah, they're not so despicable anymore, are they? Moving on, we now go to Megamind, which I have not seen. I have not seen this movie, so I may not be doing quotes or anything,
No magic?
No sound. I'm not going to do the other line. I don't cuss like that. You know the one. So, but yes, as noted in the preview today, Megamind was a young child from a presumed scientific duo from a planet that launched their child into the ether to try and save it from a black hole that was consuming both their planet and their nearby planet. And said nearby planet also had a family that launched a child into the ether. And these 2 kids would naturally wind up on Earth, a clear parallel to Superman, as Boomstick said. And one would land with a rich family and become Metro Man, the hero of Metro City. And the other would become Megamind, because he was raised by prisoners. That makes no sense, but that's the whole point. So as they were growing up, Metro Man was beloved. He was, praised for his abilities. He was going to be destined to be a hero. And then Megamind was the guy who just kept building things and building things and building things to try and get appreciation, but would never get the love he deserved because he was odd. He was blue. He had a weird fish pet named Minion. And so he's like, screw it. If you guys don't want me to be good to you, I'll be good to myself by being the villain that tries to take everything over. And so, for a long period of time, Megamind and Minion would try to take over the city. Metro Man would stop them, and the cycle would continue. A true parody of superhero comics. Except one day, after kidnapping reporter Roxanne, Roxanne. Yes, I am that old. Megamind actually killed Metro Man. Oops. Naturally, the city and everyone else was stunned by this. And that included Megamind, who at first reveled in it. He was the villain who finally won. And then he got bored. Because after years and years and years of endless struggle with Metro Man, voiced by Brad Pitt, I remember that, he realized that he needed the struggle to have purpose in life, because just stealing things wasn't going to work. Who knew? And so, off the idea of Roxy, actually, he was like, oh, what I can do is I could take the genetic material of Metro Man and create a serum to give someone new power so that they would be the hero, I can be the villain again, and we can start this all over. Brilliant plan. One problem. The person he chose, Hal Stewart, get it? Hal Jordan, John Stewart. So clever, these writers. Wasn't exactly the best candidate. He accidentally got injected, and then even after Megamind trained him by being his space dad, what is this movie? Get it as a parallel to Jor-El. Hal only had eyes for Roxanne and was like, if you're here, you got to get the girl and screw everything else. So he started to steal stuff to try and be in a position to woo Roxy, and that didn't go well with Megamind. He revealed that he was the villain the whole time to him and not his space dad, which set Titan. Get it? Titan. Ugh. I'm kind of glad I didn't watch this movie. To go on a full rampage. Megamind tried to stop him but failed. And to the point where after getting dumped by Roxy, he actually forgot where he had left the gun that actually would have saved the day, because it was an invisible car that he couldn't find because it was invisible. Sure. Megamind even did the responsible thing at one point by going to jail to try and atone for his crimes, but Titan didn't care because he wanted to kill Megamind for all he had done, because he had finally gone full villain. He didn't just want to, do the endless cycle. He wanted to end him for good. So this led to Megamind and Roxy actually finding Metro Man because he was alive. Surprise! Because much like Megamind, Metro Man had gotten tired of the never-ending struggle and faked his own death so he could retire and be at peace. And even when Megamind begged him to change his mind, he couldn't do it because he had ingrained himself that I don't have a choice in life. I can only do this one thing. And so it was up to Megamind to save the day. And how is he going to do that? Presentation! Okay, I know some of the lines, obviously. Oh, my big blue head! So he was able to work with Roxy and Minion, and using various brain bots and other tech, he got Titan distracted long enough for Roxy to shoot him with the gun to release his powers, sending him to prison, and then Megamind became the hero of Metro City. And they all lived happily ever after until... Because that movie was so successful that they had to do spin-offs and such. And so they did an apparently terrible sequel short film, Megamind versus the Doom Syndicate. And then they did a 2-season Megamind show. And it was apparently just as terrible. So I'm glad I did not watch any of them. But throughout that, Megamind had his own struggle of trying to stay a hero, not be a villain, even foiling, because he used to be part of the Doom Syndicate, so he had to foil their own plans for Metro City and beyond. And then he even got like a #1 fan who wanted to be trained by Megamind, but he was afraid of training her accidentally turning evil, not like what happened with Titan and so on and so forth. But he eventually would save the day. Roxy would eventually officially fall in love with him. And him, Minion, Roxy, and the #1 fan, I forgot her name, it doesn't really matter for this battle, would go on to continue to save Metro City for times to come. Thankfully, no 3rd season. But true to his name, Megamind has plenty of gadgets that he used. The D-gun is the big one, obviously, but he's got numerous vehicles. He once wanted to ensure he did not get hit in a dodgeball game, so he made an electric hat of sorts that would stop and repel any dodgeballs that came at him. I want it now. I wonder if that would work for larger objects. Minion is his own, incredible helper. The brain bots were, like they said, the review was over 100,000 strong, which is a lot. That's a lot. Like that scene, as iconic as it is for presentation, that must have been a pain to animate. I mean, granted, whether there was actually 100,000 of them on screen, they still had to make that look a certain way. So that must have taken a long time. So props to you animators for giving the time to actually make it look good. Take notes, Marvel. So, but he has also numerous other vehicles that he can use. His own kinds of... the D-gun has numerous settings, as I said in the preview, and so on and so forth. And then there were other tech that he got in the TV show, like a body switching device. So I'm not sure if that's going to be applicable here for various reasons. And other tools to highlight both his villainy and his heroic nature. So if you're going to go to Metro City, you hope you're packing, because their hero has a Megamind. Yeah, I just came up with that one on the fly. You're welcome, America. Or, Death Ballad community. So, who wins in a fight between Gru and Megamind? Now, this is interesting because I'm honestly getting vibes of Dr. Eggman versus Wily. Yes, Dr. Eggman Wily, not Bowser Eggman, because Bowser was the key to that whole battle. But because in Dr. Eggman Wily, it was really a case of whose army was better, as well as which tech could surpass the other. And then, of course, it was, Metal Sonic, I'll crush you. But this might be the case here, because I've seen the arguments for both sides, including the dehydration gun for Megamind, which is a classic. They use it throughout the movie. And the problem is, as stated in the preview, all it takes is a drop of water to rehydrate them. So even if he were to dehydrate Gru, the minions would react to this and just try to hydrate him. Because they have been shown across numerous movies that even when Gru is captured and incapacitated, they'll go and do their best to save him, including the Mega Minions and in The Rise of Gru when he was captured by the Vicious Six, and so on. So that I don't feel is an instant kill. And they made it clear in both of them that the brain bots and the minions are going to be, and Minion is going to be involved. So this is clearly, much like, say, Bowser Eggman, is going to be about whose army basically gets wiped out by the end. And this leans heavily to Gru. Why? Because Gru has multiple aces up his sleeve, with the biggest one being the minions. They are unkillable. They cannot die. Okay? They have been squashed. They have been squished. They have been blasted. They have been jettisoned into space in just the first movie, the original Despicable Me movie. One of them got shot into space, and he's just there, totally fine, in a vacuum, no air, no oxygen, nothing, totally fine. So that won't that won't work against. So I would argue that just about nothing would work against the minions. Now, the dehydration gun, yes, but can you take out potentially 10,000 minions before they get anyone gets the gun away from Megamind? And then here's another thing. Gru has far superior stats to Megamind based on what we see in the movies, including him, KOing the shark, dodging missiles that were shot at him at point blank range. I'm not gonna say he's light speed. I don't think he did that, but he's done physical things that could make it very hard for Megamind to straight up hit him. And that would be a problem. Another thing that I think a lot of people are underestimating is a tool from his younger days, which is the Zodiac Stone, which allows the person to transform anything it touches or shoots, I guess, into an animal based on the Chinese zodiac. So when he was facing off against the Vicious Six, Gru, in his youngest form, turned all the villains into rats. Yeah. So, much like, say, Bowser Eggman, where the transmutation magic was a big factor in defeating Eggman's army, you could argue that Gru could transform them all into rats, and there's no way back for them, outside of Gru intending to change them back, which he would not do in a death battle. And then he could just freeze them all as rats. Or KO them with the fire gun. I was just wondering, under what context you could ever use this weapon. How do I remember all these quotes? So that's another thing. And then there's just the overwhelming, and I'm not kidding here, the overwhelming power of the minions. Yes, that sounds like an oxymoron, doesn't it? But between their base form and their mega form, the Mega Minions form, they are far stronger than anything Megamind would have. Like, even the destroy part of his D-gun likely would not kill or hurt the minions. During a short that they had, they lit a grill on fire with such intensity that it launched from the Earth into space and split the moon in half. One of the Mega Minions has basically Cyclops' red eye and can level buildings and cities with ease. And that's just one of them. The other one's basically the thing where he's super powerful, can burst through buildings with tissue paper. Another is Mr. Fantastic, where it can stretch endlessly. Another can fly. So the Mega Minions on their own probably could tank everything that Megamind and the Brain Bots have. They'll have superior numbers, but that won't last forever. And then the minions they're broken. They are so broken. Now, as the preview talked about, and as I noted in the Guru analysis, is there a chance that Megamind shows his evilness in such a way that the minions defect? No. Yes, it was a plot point in multiple films that they did quit or got fired or left with Drew and not Gru at the end of Despicable Me 3. However, by the start of Despicable Me 4, the minions were back with Gru. So they have shown that they will always be loyal to Gru and will fight to the end for him. So in a death battle scenario, that wouldn't work. If anything, they'd probably be offended by Megamind doing things like the dehydration gun and, try and take him out as revenge for what happened to Gru. Especially knowing what, that Agnes, Edith, and Margot would be very upset. So, and Lucy, of course. I was going to do a minion thing, but I'm not going to do it. So, that wouldn't work. Also, would the minions kill Gru? No. They have had numerous chances over, because they've canonically been with Gru for decades. They've been with him since he was a young child to when he's been a father of 4 now. They've had their chance to kill him. It does not work. So he is like their perfect leader where he cannot kill him. And then if you were to say, like, wait, what about that body swapping thing? Well, that could work until Gru realizes what happened. Then that would actually just make it to where technically Gru would still win because he'd be Gru's body and Megamind's mind. I don't think that will work, and even the minions get confused. Then that would be the case where the minions did kill Gru, or stop him long enough to do the body switch back. It's way too confusing at this point. So, in the end, despite I think Megamind maybe having a little wider arsenal based on what I saw, especially with the D gun, it's clear to me that Gru, with the minions at his back, probably is going to take this. So yeah, I'm picking Gru and the minions to win this death battle. We shall see how it goes. With that, I am ending this episode of Todd Talk. Who do you think is going to win in this fight between Gru and Megamind and their massive armies? Just how big do you think this 3D fight's gonna go? Like, they have to go big with this, especially with the minions and the brain bots, right? Like, there's no other choice here. So, and of course, prediction time, who do you think is gonna be in the next death battle? Because we're probably gonna have a string of them before we get to the final KS battle. And that's gonna be entertaining to see what comes next. So, let me know in the comments below. I thank you for watching. If you made it this far, I know you were listening. And I'll see you around.